Hi, I'm Frenchie Frier. This is my story. It's a Christian story. You can pretty much tell what it's about from the title. I've done my best to be faithful to the Gospels, but in reading them, I found myself curious about who the innkeeper was and what effect Joseph, Mary, and Jesus would have on him. This is the story I came up with. Please, if you watch this, I would appreciate your comments more than anything else. I need input about how these stories are doing. With that, I leave you to my story. My name is Zebulon, and I'm going to tell you how the best night of my life became even better. It'd come upon hard times. I was in danger of losing the inn. Let's not kid ourselves. I was almost certainly going to lose the inn that came down to me through my wife's family. Bethlehem was a sleepy little town. No one ever came to visit. And then Augustus declared his census. Ah, it was enough to make me worship him as a god. No, that would be blasphemy. I knew even this was Adonai's work. But it was wonderful for me, because the inn was overflowing. I was triple booked, every room overfilled. I looked out on the dining room and saw my wife Sarah ladling stew amongst the guests. This should have cheered her up, but it did not. She still had a glum look on her face. I could see the anger just below the surface and did not know what to do with it. But oh, this business was wonderful. And then there came a knock at the door. I went back to open it, and there was a young man, a working man, a man whose hand showed his labors. He introduced himself as Joseph. He said he and his pregnant wife were here and they badly needed a room. They had tried everywhere and I was their last hope. Well, this was bad news because I had no rooms. I hated to send the man out into the streets. That would put him at the mercy of the soldiers, and who knew what the Romans would do with him, or even our own police, truth be told. But I couldn't help him. And I started telling him this, and I looked out, and there was his wife on their mule, very pregnant indeed. She could be coming today for all I could tell. And there was a glow to her beyond anything I've seen from a woman before. Oh, you know, I thought I saw an opportunity here. I told him I'd had no rooms, but I could let him stay in the barn. And there was even a manger there for the baby if it came. He didn't like this idea clearly, but he said the baby is surely coming tonight. So I showed him to the barn and got them settled and came back in. By that time, the guests had cleared the dining room and Sarah was clearing up. I left her to do her business and went on to bed. Later on, it was the strangest thing. I was suddenly awoken, and I didn't know why. I went out, and Sarah was likely on her third or fifth cleaning of the tables, anything to avoid the bedroom. I asked her if she'd heard anything, and she said, yes, it was very odd. There was a single cry from the barn. I guess that baby must have been born. And everyone, they woke up and stirred. But the cry was very soft. Oh, a single cry from a newborn baby. Sarah and I had lost 4 babies. I knew what that meant. I told her I would go out and help with the body. She grabbed my robe and said, no, Zebulon ben Javas, you will not go out there. She told me I had no tact. Her telling me I had no tact. And she went on out. I watched the fire and looked around the room, waiting for a return. Sure, there would be something I needed to help with. But it was quite a while before she finally came back. When she did, she was the happiest I had seen her. Happiest in the 3 years since our son Samuel went to pursue his fortune elsewhere. She said, oh, the baby, it was so So wonderful. There's no baby like this that's ever been. I knew what was going on. She was just missing a baby grandchildren. I didn't understand. No. I had to go see this child myself. It was such a wonder that even shepherds came in to visit it, saying they had been visited by an angel and been directed to come. Shepherds? Oh, not that type here. No. If Joseph was going to bring shepherds in, then they would need to find another place to stay. She could see the look in my eye. She'd known me long enough to know what I was thinking. She told me not to think that way, to go and see the baby, and I would see all was right. When I shook my head no, she grabbed a bucket and started filling it with animal feed. She told me to make myself useful feeding animals, as if I weren't useful. I decided to humor it. And at any rate, the animals needed to be feeding. After what we charged these renters, we didn't dare let their animals suffer. So the way we were going through food, I'd have to go to the market and buy more, and those farmers would gouge me. How they would take advantage of the situation. It was just terrible. I took the feed out and I started to peek in on the manger to see the baby, but then our mule, Annis, nibbled at my robe, and I realized I needed to get busy. I gave the animals oats, and I went back, and it was on my third bucket. The whole time I was thinking how I was going to explain to Joseph that he needed to leave. And I had it pretty much worked out in my head, a plan where I could pass this problem on to someone else. He could check with the other innkeepers. Surely someone else would find something. As I was finishing up the last feeding, they roused and began feeding the baby, carefully covered. But as I looked over to talk to Joseph, my eyes locked in on that baby's eyes, those deep brown wells. No baby should have eyes like this. They drew me in, and I saw in them all my pain, all the times I'd been cheated, all the times I had fallen short, all the time people had said bad things behind me. I also saw the times I had been wrong too, how I had been cruel at times to Samuel and Sarah, how I had made stupid plans and cheated renters and done things that were simply wrong. And I saw even beyond this, that all of this did not need to define me, that there was forgiveness, and that I could give forgiveness, and that I could build a better life. Oh, how that baby's one glance changed my world. It certainly changed what I was going to do about Joseph. I knew what I had to do now. I went to him and told him, I apologized. I apologized for putting them out in the barn and told them that he and baby and Mary must have mine and Sarah's room. When he started to object, I told him he had to do this for the good of his wife and child. No husband could argue with that. So he thanked me, and I went in ready to face mad Sarah again. But that is not the Sarah I faced. The Sarah I faced heard what I'd done, drew her arms around me, and kissed me with a passion that I have long forgotten existed. The next 7 days, while Joseph and Mary stayed in our room for the census, were a honeymoon. It was like we were newlyweds and had a new beginning on life. And I look forward to each of the new days in life coming forward. Thank you for listening to this. Bless you. I hope you may find each day a new beginning as well. I would really appreciate it if you would leave a comment. I'm trying to feel my way through this process, and I need all the suggestions I can get. Bless you, and good night.